You ever have one of those moments where you thought your directions were crystal clear, and then you realized that no one actually knew what was happening? Well, that, my friends, is the sound of a lesson that skipped phase 3, focus on new learning. In this phase, we shift from curiosity and commitment to actual instruction, which is the teaching part. But not just any teaching, explicit, guided, intentional instruction that sets students up for success. Today, we are breaking down what it means to truly focus on new learning, from clear modeling to structured practice, and how to make sure our students are actually getting it and not just nodding like they do.
This is Teachers on the Loose.
Hey everyone, welcome to Teachers on the Loose, the podcast where we turn teacher tales into belly laughs and life lessons. I'm Allison.
I'm Kelsey.
I'm Celeste.
And I'm Kristen.
Today we're continuing our deep dive into McRel's 6 phases of learning with phase 3, focus on new learning, also known as the part where teachers teach.
This phase is all about helping students acquire new knowledge or skills through modeling, guided practice, feedback, and clarity. A lot of the research around explicit instruction comes from the work of Anita Archer.
We'll talk about what explicit instruction is and share some tools that you can use in your classroom tomorrow. But first, let's check in. What's something that made you smile this week? Allison?
Ooh, I'm glad you asked me because I have a good one this week. Do you guys know what rickrolled means?
No.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm scared.
Okay.
Is that 2 claps and a Rick roll? Whoop, whoop, woo!
I don't know what that is.
What?
I don't know what 2 claps and a rickroll is, but now I know what a rickroll is because I was rickrolled by a 7-year-old in my class. Yeah. I had no idea what it was, but I'm sitting there with my 2nd graders and we were talking about how to solve conflicts and what they would say to each other. And one of my students raised his hand and I called on him and he said, I would say, I'm never going to give you up.
Oh.
And he stopped and I said, never gonna let you down, never gonna run around and desert you, or whatever the words were, right? Those could have been the wrong words, but I started singing the Rick Astley song, right?
Yeah.
And he goes, yes, I rickrolled her. And the whole class started cheering because they rickrolled me. Apparently it's a trend to get somebody to finish the song or to see the video. Oh. And I guess there's QR codes on people's cars and people
it's
are.
A thing.
It's a thing. It's a
okay.
thing. But I didn't know anything about it, and so that made me giggle. That one of my students got me on a trend. It was kind of like a prank.
I love
by
it.
a 7-year-old.
If you start a song with me, I'm gonna finish it.
Right? I know.
I'm kind of excited to be rickrolled.
So anyway, and I know I rickrolled you telling you that story because as I started telling you that story, you started mouthing the words. Nobody heard it, but you were over there mouthing the words, Celeste. So I knew that you had been rickrolled.
All right.
I love that.
So that made me giggle.
I love it.
Something that made me smile this week was our Veterans Day assembly. There is nothing like a bunch of kids and their patriotic spirit and just when those 1st graders were singing "We Are Grand Old Flag," I'm not gonna lie, tears on my little cheekies.
I know, and they were singing right by us, and we were probably in all the family's photos and videos. So my parent and I were hiding in the closet right next to it because it was right by us. We didn't want to be taken away from their beautiful song, and it was so good. And you know how I don't cry? I almost cried for the last song that all the students.
Thank you, veterans.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. So my other favorite part was it was kind of a long assembly. There was a lot of sitting and listening. And towards the end, our music teacher said, and now 1st grade will sing whatever the song was. And one of them goes, yes, finally, it's our turn again. They were just so excited to stand up and sing again.
That's so sweet.
I just love that assembly. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah. And, the kids did amazing because those poor, actually all the grades. So it wasn't just kindergarten, but it was a long time sitting on their little bottoms. And they did so good. What made me smile this week, and it wasn't just this week, it's kind of been building up, is I've been teaching my students sign language every week. We learn something new, and it's always like a bunch of words. It could be related to their favorite time of the day, which is, snack time and lunchtime. So it's been a lot of food, holidays, Halloween. And so they've been going home and teaching their families. So they might not tell their families what math lesson or literacy lesson they learned, but they've been teaching their families sign language pretty much every day. So then we are starting to have conversations now and asking each other questions and answering in sign language. So that's a lot of fun. And then the para is also learning because she's been using that to communicate with some of her students. So
I love that.
it's been a lot of fun.
That's so cool. This week, I had put my kids to bed, and they were in their room, and my son starts shouting at me, "Hey, Mom, do you know that A makes two sounds? It says and A, like an apple, an acorn. And do you know that sometimes it can make a whiny A sound?" And then without skipping a beat, my daughter goes, "Yeah, like me. I go, wah, wah."
Was he talking about the schwa?
Like an am, am. She was,
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
go
so
preschool.
Okay.
Oh no, he's
no, kinder.
Kinder.
Yeah.
Nice.
wow. Go kindergarten teachers.
Right? I know. The things he's been sharing are so awesome. And it was just so funny. Like, he's having this whole conversation about it. And then my daughter was like, "Yeah, I know about that too."
Wow. That's cute. So cute.
I love that. Okay, let's jump into today's episode, Phase 3, Focus on New Learning. That is where teachers move from getting students ready to learn to helping them learn something new. Think of it as the I do part of your lesson. So once you have students interested, set meaningful goals, then we move to Phase 3. What students pay attention to is what moves into our working memory. Any information that is rehearsed will be remembered. Any unrehearsed information will be lost.
Yeah.
Wow, good job.
Yeah. As I was getting ready for this podcast, I did look back into my book of Learning That Sticks and just refreshed myself of like, why is it that we need to do this again? And it was talking about the science of focused attention. And it talked about like, have you guys ever like been driving and you're really focused and all of a sudden you're like turning your radio down and you're like telling the kids to be quiet in the back?
Yeah, because it helps
Oh,
me
yeah, all the
focus.
Yeah, because it helps you drive.
It does. It makes
Yeah.
me a better driver.
Yeah, and my kids have made fun of me for that. But as I was reading it, it was saying that this is actually the science of having focused attention because you have different parts of your brain that are working at the same time. So you might be using like the phonological part of your brain and reading the street signs, but also like the visual part of your brain where you're trying to keep yourself safe on the road and looking for obstacles. But there's also the part of your brain that's working, remembering what your relative said about like, if you get to Main Street, you've gone too far. Anyways, you've got all these different places in your brain working at one time. And so focusing your attention might mean turning off different sensory input. It might be turning the music off or telling your kids to turn their voices off so that you can have that focused attention. And so anyways, I was just like, oh, that makes sense. And so when we're asking our students to pay attention, we also have to think like a lot of their parts of their brain are working towards learning this new skill or this new information. And so we have to make sure the first thing that we're doing is just getting them to be focused. So, yeah.
Beautifully said. And we learned in one of our learning coach meetings that what you just talked about is called decreasing their sensory input.
I like that. Yeah.
You got to decrease what's going in so that they can focus on what really matters.
Right. So what you're saying, Celeste, is we have to decrease their sensory input and then make sure that they're good and focused, ready to learn. And now we can move into Phase 3 where we are going to start teaching the lesson.
So there's 3 strategies that are part of this phase: vocabulary instruction, strategy instruction and modeling, and visualizations and concrete examples. So let's start with vocabulary instruction. What are some activities that you guys do?
Well, one of the things that we use for vocabulary is a strategy of visualizing vocabulary. And there's a lot of different ways that you can do it. But one of the ways that we've been doing it lately is where the students write the word, identify the word Like, what's the purpose of the word? Is it a noun? Is it an adjective? Is it an adverb? They then draw a picture of what that word would be, and then they make their own definition of it, and then they put it into a sentence. So, like, if the word was scurries, they would circle that it's a verb. Then they would draw a picture of a squirrel scurrying up a tree, and then they would say scurries means to move in a hurried way, and then they would say the squirrel scurries up a tree. And so it would just be them making sense of that word with their own background knowledge that they have.
Yeah. Yeah. The important part of that strategy is the visualization and students being able to connect that to the word and create their own definition for that word.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's very similar to a strategy that one of our teams is focused on right now called the Freyer model, which has been around for quite some time. I'm sure everybody's done a Freyer model, but the word goes in the middle and you've got 4 boxes.
Oh, yeah.
And you're going to write the word's definition, use it in a sentence, and then give examples and non-examples. Or you can give examples and, like you said, identify the part of speech that it is. But it's just another way to really let the kids take ownership of the vocabulary they're learning.
Yeah. And I just want to say, when we're talking about vocabulary, it's always thought of typically during reading, but we have been doing a lot of visualizing vocabulary in math, and it has helped tremendously. You would think that students just know what certain words mean, but they don't. Like, one of the kids said when we were talking about greater than and less than, and I said, well, what would less than be? And they were like, it's the unfair half. And I'm like, but no,
The unfair half.
it's
I
not
love
the
that.
unfair half, because a half would be half,
Right.
So it opens up a conversation around misconceptions as well, and being able to really understand what it is that we're working with in all areas of subjects, not just reading.
Yeah. I love that you mentioned the math part, because that's what we're doing right now for us with our number corner routine. Last month was November. And so if you guys are familiar with the Bridges program, it was all about the bear, where the bear was. So all of those positional words. So that was a lot of fun, because what I did was I had an actual bear and a box, and we were using those directional words to physically move the bear. And that just made it so much easier for them to understand it. So then when I tested them on it, I mean, they did amazing. They got like 100% because they had that actual practice and physically moving the bear inside the box. My favorite was when the bear's like laying on top of the box and he's just like laying there. I'm always like, that's what I want to do right now. I just want to take a nap on the box. But this month it's all about the leaf. The leaf is moving to the left, to the right, down, to the side. So they're having a lot of practice with that. I didn't have a real leaf because they're all crumbly and I don't want that mess in the classroom. So I just printed off a paper leaf and we're just moving the leaf around as the cards are in our number corner routine. And they have fun with it. They love it. They love that hands-on part. And it just makes that learning so much more real for them and understandable.
Yeah.
So I have to ask, with the curriculum that we use, I know that there is a ton of vocabulary. So how do you go about choosing which ones to use visualized vocabulary with or stick into a Freyer model?
Being real, honestly, we look at our assessment and see what are the words that they're not going to understand, and we backwards plan that way. And then we tie that in with the other words.
So really it's about intentionally planning which words you're using and then picking a tool that's going to help students visualize the meaning of that word so that it sticks in their long-term memory.
Yes.
So moving on to the next strategy, which is direct instruction and modeling. What could this look like in your classroom?
Yeah, so this is the explicit instruction and modeling part of your lesson where you're being really clear and concise with what is the goal for students. What do they need to learn? And you are directly teaching that.
So thinking through the explicit model structure, you really are starting by warming up the students' brains. You want to make sure you review what they already know so that they're ready to connect the dots. You're building that background knowledge. And then you're setting the stage. You have to tell them what they're learning and why it matters.
Yeah, exactly. And next, you model the skill. You think out loud. You want students to be able to hear your thought process and really show them what it looks like. And you're really making their learning verbal and visual.
Yeah, and as you teach, it helps students see how new ideas fit with what they've learned before. And then we guide them through practice step by step, offering support until they're ready to try it on more independently.
So you're really keeping your eyes and ears open this whole time so that you can monitor, adjust, and celebrate the progress in real time. You just really have to use that clear, simple language. And this one's my favorite. This is where I'm going to throw Kagan in. You have to invite frequent responses and then give feedback right away, which is one of Anita's archerisms. Everyone does everything.
Oh, I like it.
I just like with the Kagan and the frequent responses, like everyone needs to be a part of everything.
Yeah.
That's important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to keep it real simple. Teaching kindergarten, we're learning how to read. You know, we're really practicing identifying letters, letter sounds. Now we got to make those letter sounds into words. So now we're into reviewing letters. So this week we are reviewing letters A, M, P. So as a teacher, you're up there, you're pointing to the letters, you're having the students say the sounds. But as we're blending the words together to make a word, you're using your fingers, you're sounding them out. And so you just model, you say it out loud. This is how you say the sound, the ah sound, the p sound. And then you kind of like say to yourself out loud. Like, that kind of doesn't make sense. Let me say it a little faster. App. Oh, that sounds like the word map. I know what that word is. It's map. And so you just kind of model your thinking out loud. And then it's like, okay, I think I can sound out this word. Let's try another word. And so that's kind of like
Can
a little...
I come to your kindergarten class?
just-
I
that
wanna
made
come
me
with you.
smile.
cute little lesson that we do.
Love it.
Yeah, you can come anytime.
I know how to spell the word map now.
So the third strategy in this phase is visualizations and concrete examples. So what could be some ways that we use visualizations and concrete examples in our classroom?
One of the things that we use in second grade is split screen. And so basically it's just a paper. It's like a graphic organizer where they have two sections. One section is where they draw and visualize what it is that's going on. And on the other side, it's where they write down their big ideas. So yes.
Visualizing vocabulary and split screen are like essentially the same, yeah? They're like so similar. No? Tell me more.
Good question. Because splits, I mean, they both have the same component of a visualization, right? Because that's the big part of this phase is students connecting words and images, and that helps them remember things.
But split screen is going to be when they're taking in new knowledge of, so like essentially instead of taking notes, this is what they're doing. So it's like a 2-column note taking thing. It's not around just one word. We used split screens when we were talking about conflict resolution, and we had the SRO come and talk to our students about how to solve problems. And so they were gaining information, and they would draw a picture and then write big ideas about how to solve a conflict. So it'd be like a picture of two people talking it out, and then it would say like, deal with your anger first. Don't make mean faces, use kind words or whatever. So it was like the big ideas that they took away from like essentially like a lecture or a video or from
some new learning. They're chunking their learning into different sections and then creating a visualization of it and then like synthesizing the big idea. Okay, so those were some specific strategies, but really phase 3 is all about new learning. So what are some of your strategies that you use every day to introduce new information to students?
Yeah, a lot of times it's either in my math lesson or even in a reading lesson. I'll put something up on our ViewSonic board, and it's like maybe a game board or something in math. And I ask my students, what do you notice about this? Share with your partner, and then they have a conversation, and then we gather back whole class. We share out some of our noticings. I really like to use whiteboards when I am introducing new information because direct instruction is a lot of sit and get, and I want to get them involved also.
Think back to when I was in the classroom and I would use whole brain teaching, and this is where I would do that mirrors on strategy. So I would teach something new, and then it's good to have them repeat it back to you. So you'd say mirrors on, and they repeat what you just taught them back so that they're having to say it out loud with you.
Okay.
That's kind of the choral response, right?
Yeah.
Mirrors on. Yeah.
Okay.
I would be like, mirror me.
I'd say, mirrors on. And they'd go, on.
Oh, that's cute.
I just say,
I like that.
repeat after me. And they say, repeat after you.
That's cute.
It's all the same thing.
Yeah.
Just getting them to say it back to you so that they're having to repeat that.
They're practicing it the correct way.
Or even when you say partner up and you tell your partner the instructions and the partner has to share it out loud.
Yeah.
That's my favorite.
Like a
Think, pair, share. Or they're not really paying attention, and that helps them to stay in the lesson and be paying attention.
Yeah.
Gotta be clear and concise. To the point.
That's right, people.
Who has a funny story when you were giving a lesson or when you were modeling something? What's something funny that happened?
I mean, you think you know what you're talking about, and you're up there and you're like, yes, this is the best lesson ever. And then you realize you taught it completely wrong. No? Just me?
No, I've done that.
Yep, just you.
What? What? What did
But
you
it's
teach
more
the
like,
children that was
okay, you
wrong?
guys, my bad. And they're like, yeah, I thought you were wrong. I didn't, yeah.
You just be like, I was tricking you. See if you're
Right?
paying attention.
Or you like teach your socks off, right? And you're like, they're getting it. And then your learning coach walks in and you're like, oh my gosh, watch this. And then there's nothing. And they just look at you like, oh yeah.
That happened to somebody I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was so mad. Now we know them because
Oh, yeah,
I
the
drill
10
them. I'm like, you
pluses.
can't go outside until you can do 10 plus 5. Just
Okay, I'm
kidding.
coming in tomorrow and I'm going to ask them. And if they don't know, what happens?
Nothing. No,
no, you have to-
I haven't really been practicing. We did something again today in math, and I was like, man, if Celeste comes in again, we're not going to know it. And they're like, 5 plus 3 is 8. And then they write it down. 5 plus 4, that's 9. I'm like, you guys are doing amazing. But in my mind, I'm like, yeah, if Celeste were to walk in like 2 minutes after we're done with the lesson, I'm not sure if they're going to make me look good or make me look bad like last time.
Well, maybe it just wasn't in their long-term memory yet.
Yes,
It was just in their working memory.
it is. So how long does it take to get into their long-term memory?
5 to 20 minutes.
Forever.
For 5 to 20 minutes.
Well, okay. Listen, I'm going to read
Okay.
this.
Let's hear it.
Our short-term working memory basically consists of our conscious thoughts, such as the names of the people that we just met at a cocktail party. Cognitive science suggests we can hold information in our working memory from anywhere from 5 to 20 minutes, boom, before it either decays, a victim of our brain's ongoing efforts to prune information, or continues the journey to long-term memory.
Well, then
Okay,
Go
but
ahead.
that shows you how like clear and concise your direct instruction portion of your lesson has to be. Because if they're working memory, if it only stays in there for, what did it say?
5 to 20 minutes.
5 to 20 minutes. You have to be super concise
Yeah.
and create those visuals for them to be able to move it to the long term, right?
But I thought I did. I had beams on
She's going
the
back to
10
her
frames.
lesson.
And we were rocking it, and I was so impressed. And then it was 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And boom, gone.
So we're actually going to talk about that in another phase when we talk about the importance of retrieval practice.
Okay. Well, I can't wait to hear the answer.
There's a little hook for you, people.
We'll help you in another week.
Stay tuned. Don't.
We can't give you all the answers tonight.
Right.
Jeez. All right. So phase 3, focus on new learning, is all about clarity and intentional explicit instruction. Students need to see it, hear it, say it, and try it, all within a clear and supportive structure. When we model our thinking and scaffold practice, we're not just teaching content, we're teaching how to learn. And as our girl Anita Archer says, learning is not a spectator sport.
It is not. Neither is teaching.
That was really funny.
What?
How do you be a spectator in teaching?
I know. I'm just saying. Like, you can't just sit back and let a video take over.
Oh.
People try sometimes.
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
All right, listeners on the loose, here's your challenge. We challenge you this week to be explicit with your instruction. As Anita Archer would say, be clear, concise, and consistent.
Then tell us how it went. Tag us at Teachers on the Loose with your favorite focus moment or your funniest they didn't quite get it story.
Thanks for tuning in. Next week, we're headed into phase 4, make sense of learning. Students practice a skill with teacher support. The teacher provides prompts, checks for understanding, gives immediate feedback, and ensures students are successful before moving to independent work.
So remember, people, phase 3, it's where the magic happens. Don't just teach it, make it stick. And join us back here next time on Teachers on the Loose.
This is Teachers on the Loose.
Until then, remember, people, focus is contagious, even when your caffeine isn't. So join us back here next week on...
I don't understand that.
What is that? Caffeine is not contagious. I know, what is that in there?
What does focus is contagious
Yes.
mean?
If
It means
you're
that if you guys are focused, I'm going to be focused. But I don't think that that's true.
No.
Oh, way to come through, girl.
That was good. You better pause it because I want to.